Welcome back to CFB Enthusiasts, guys. My name is Jimmy. This is our week 4 recap of the college football season. It's just me today, as y'all can see. No Pat, no Jacob, but it's okay. I will hold the fort down. Shout out to y'all boys, man. Today, I want to give you some of my takeaways from week 4, what I was impressed by, what I didn't like, a couple talking points here of the biggest games of this past week. And I want to talk about my horn, so I'll save that for the end. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. If you believe college football just like we do over here, you're going to love it. So go ahead and drop that subscribe, follow, and go ahead and share this to a friend or family member who loves college football as well, because college football is always better with a friend. And follow us on our Instagram and Twitter, or TikTok, I should say, CFB_enthusiasts. That's where you'll find a lot of our short form content. I want to start with Clemson and get them out the way because I don't think I'll talk about them the rest of the season at this point. Clemson's done. Clemson's cooked. Dabo Swinney's cooked. Kate Klubnik is cooked. I'm going to go on a little personal rant here just because they're making me look really bad right now. I picked Clemson to win the national championship. I picked Kate Klubnik to win the Heisman Trophy in the beginning of the season when we were making all of our preview and prediction videos. And I feel like a lot of other people had Clemson winning the national championship. Not only is that like a far cry from where we were, we're having a whole nother conversation about Clemson and their program. This is bad. This is very, very bad at Clemson. They have no identity. Their offense looks pitiful, which I thought would be one of, if not the best offense in the country, led by Kate Klubnik and that three-headed monster at wide receiver. They had, I think, 4 out of 5 offensive linemen back. The offense is terrible. Kate Klubnik's not a secret with his receivers. We knew they wouldn't be able to run the ball effectively. Adam Randall's a wide receiver who they try to convert to running back, and that's not going too well. The offensive line has been very disappointing. On the defensive side, they don't look much better. Giving up explosive plays, and it's even gotten to the point where Clemson is just so undisciplined on the defensive side. They had a couple of roughing the passers, and then they had a late hit. They had a late hit and a roughing the passer on the same drive that Syracuse ended up going down and scoring a touchdown on. And then you had another roughing the passer later in the game. I mean, like, it's coming to stuff we haven't even seen before with Clemson. And this is how you know when the discipline is not there from your team. That's how you know the focus is not there. Are these guys even still bought into the season? Are they still bought into the team? Are they still bought into the coach? Are they still bought into the program? Those are questions Clemson's going to have to answer, but it's terrible. Dabo Swinney had his press game. Dabo Swinney had his, midweek press conference like all these coaches do, and he went on a big rant about, oh, y'all want me fired? Well, y'all can fire me, and we won't be winning games anymore. I mean, you're not winning now. And Dabo's over here talking about how good Clemson used to be in the 2 national championships he has, and how great his teams used to be. Newsflash, they pay you for what they believe you can do moving forward. They don't pay you for what you've done already. They've already paid you for that. And at a place like Clemson that has built up that expectation because of you, and that expectation is not met, yes, there will be boo birds. Yes, there will be fans that are very frustrated about the team's performance on the field. They pay you based on what they believe you will be able to produce in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, however long that contract may be, right? Same thing with players. They pay you based on what they're projecting you to do moving forward. Not what you have done already. The 2 national championships, great. Winning the ACC 8 out of 10 years or whatever it is, great. How about right now? When your team that had national championship expectations is 1-3. The team looks like they're unfocused, undisciplined. No continuity on one of the most experienced rosters in college football. Clemson's gotten progressively worse every single year. They went 15-0, won a national championship in 2018. That was their peak. I think they ended up losing 1 game. Then it went to 2 games. Then it went to 3 games for a couple of years. And then it went to 4 games these last couple of years. Yeah, they won the ACC last year and snuck their way into the playoffs. But, bro, if it wasn't for a 12-team playoffs, they wouldn't have been even close to sniffing the playoffs, like a 14 playoff. They were the lowest ranked team that got in. They were like 16th. But I'm done talking about Dabo and Clemson. We're done talking about Dabo and Clemson on CFB Enthusiasts for the rest of the season. They're off our radar for the foreseeable future. My biggest takeaway, let's talk about that. My biggest takeaway from week 4, Texas Tech looks like a playoff team to me. In our preview, I said that Texas Tech was going to have to show me that they're able to win a game of this magnitude. A game where it's pretty equal as far as competition goes and the coaching goes and all that good stuff. I didn't think they had it in them, if I'm being honest with you. They're going to Utah, revitalized Utah team. Devon Dampier is playing out of his mind with his great continuity with his offensive coordinator. Kyle Whittingham seems to have his juice back. The defense is flying around crazy. They're physical on both sides of the ball. They might have one of the best offensive lines in the country. Tech had to go on the road, and they walked down Utah. It's not even that they beat Utah. I know they had 2 late touchdowns that didn't really mean much. The game was already out of hand. They dominated the line of scrimmage against Utah. Let me repeat that. Texas Tech dominated Utah along both lines of scrimmage. Who would have thought that? Now, we knew that Texas Tech would have been improved in the front, getting all these transfer portal guys. And it was a little bit different than what they have been throwing out onto the field the last couple of years. I agree with that. But for them to look like this, I mean, their defensive line hounded Devon Dampier all game long. Utah couldn't get the push that they wanted to. Like Ramel Height and the other guy's name. I'm trying to find it here. Off the top of my head, it's not clicking for me. I want, like, Jacob Rodriguez is a monster, a linebacker. Like, they got some boys. I think Pollock is another good one that I saw that really jumped out to me yesterday. Tech got some dogs. And this is like a sustainable type of team, type of roster, type of defense. Very sustainable. The Utah had to dink and dunk their way down the damn field, and it gets hard when you have to go down the field 9, 10, 11, 12 plays every single time. Because what does that lead to more often than not? Turnovers. Texas Tech got some turnovers. Not to turn the ball over themselves, but they didn't give up anything cheap to Utah except that one play to the tight end. Tight end made a great play and breaking the tackle, going downfield for like 40 yards. That was late. That was later in the fourth quarter when Utah was starting to press. Up until then, Dampier had less than 100 yards midway through the fourth quarter passing. I would have never thought I've seen that from a Texas Tech team. On the offensive end, this boy Will Hammond, Baron Morton's going to be the starter when he comes back, but that Will Hammond guy is legit. He is legit. And he outplayed Baron Morton yesterday. But he came in and the offense was just flowing. He's making nice reads. He missed a one touchdown. He threw a bad ball on the fade route, I think it was. But other than that, he was running the football effectively, physically. He impressed me yesterday. He looked like one of the better quarterbacks in the country he was one of the best quarterbacks in the country that I saw yesterday. Very small sample size, but yeah, that was nice from Will Hammond. I like what I see from Texas Tech. I think this is going to prove that they're the best team in the Big 12. Now, I still think Utah is very, very good, and I think these two teams can meet again in Arlington in December. But Texas Tech, I think, put themselves in front of everybody in the Big 12. And they made a huge statement. A huge statement. So shout out to them. I didn't think they had it in them, but yeah, and even the running backs too. Cameron Dickey, Jacoby Williams, very physical guys. And they seem pretty really well coached. Joey McGuire, I know he's a high school football coach legend, but yeah, he got some going at Tech for sure. He definitely has some going at Tech for sure. Indiana, Illinois. This was a game that I didn't think anyone saw coming. What was the score in this game? Was it 6? Did they put 60 on Illinois? Like a Brett Bielema Illinois team that usually has a really good defense and a really good secondary. They beat them 63-10. Now the block punt built up that momentum for Indiana, and then from there, boy, I gotta tell you, Fernando Mendoza. I don't care who he's playing, who he played against, and then what he did against Illinois. Fernando Mendoza, in his last 2 games, has 10 touchdowns and 3 incompletions in his last 2 games. Now, the Indiana State game, that shit's still impressive. I don't care who it was. And then against Illinois, who is known to be a really good hard-nosed defensive team, walked them down. 21 of 23, 267, and 5 touchdowns. Now, for as much as we're talking about all the quarterbacks in the country that have struggled so far this season, there's a lot of quarterbacks playing some great football. Fernando Mendoza is one of those guys. He has 14 touchdowns on the year and 0 interceptions. Excellent ball. I think he's 78, 79, 80% completion percentage. And for as good as Curtis Rourke was last year for Indiana, they might have found something even better in Mendoza. And Mendoza had the potential. We saw flashes at Cal, the Miami game. You know, you saw the flashes of what he could do, but he just didn't have the pieces around him to support his game. He had Jaden Knott, he had Jack Endries, but other than that, wasn't much. Didn't have a really good defense, and not a really good team in general. So, but with this structure and at Indiana, they're going to be good. They are really good. They are really good. I said the winner of this Indiana-Illinois game had like a 70% shot to make the playoffs. And I still believe that. Indiana, I believe, has Oregon and Penn State. I believe both of those are on the road. It's going to be very, very, very tough to win one of those games, let alone both. But the rest of the schedule seems very manageable. They have Iowa next week at Iowa. So that's a trap game right there, potentially. But other than that, I think Indiana can at worst go 10-2 and be on the fringe of playoff contention. They have at Iowa and then at Oregon. Hold on, let me pull up their schedule here real quick. So next week they're playing at Iowa. And then bye week at Oregon. Michigan State at home, which they're much improved too. UCLA's in the toilet. And then at Maryland, at Penn State, Wisconsin at home, they're terrible. And then Purdue on the road, they're terrible. So there's like 4 games here where you could be like, they could lose. 8-4 could be the floor of Indiana this year. But from what I saw last night against Illinois, I think that's closer to 10-2. I think they're closer to 10-2 than they are to 8-4. At Iowa next week is going to be very tricky, though. It's going to be very tricky. But we'll talk about that game when we get to the predictions for Week 5. But I don't think Iowa will be able to keep up with them. But yeah, Indiana looks really good. USC, I had a chance to see a little bit last night. I fell asleep during the game. I'm not gonna lie, it was a long day of college football for me. But I really liked what I saw from USC. That was my first time watching them this season, and they played competition with at least a little bit of resistance, and they played very well. They're back to running the football, and I've said this before. Lincoln Riley teams, there was always that misconception, even from me earlier on. Because they had Baker Mayfield, because they had Kyler Murray, because they had Jalen Hurts, because they had Caleb Williams. You're like, okay, they're just air raid, they throw the ball a billion times, and the quarterback just puts up all these crazy stats. Well, yeah, the quarterback will put up crazy stats, but that's because they were a power running team. They had all those offensive linemen going to the draft over the past couple of years, like Creed Humphrey and all those guys, like. They put in a lot of offensive linemen into the league, and a lot of that's because they were great in the run game. Because you had Joe Mixon and Rodney Anderson and Trey Sermon and all these guys. I'm missing a few, but they had all those guys. And that's what made Lincoln Riley's offenses impossible to stop. They would pass for 300, and then they would rush for 200. They would pass for 300, and they would rush for 200. And there is nothing you could do about it. That's what makes those Lincoln Riley teams so difficult to defend. And I think he's got back to that. They went a little bit more air raid-y-ish at the end of Caleb Williams' tenure. And then when Miller Moss came, it felt like a full-on air raid. But I think they're back to running a football, and that opens it up for Jaden Mayava to create explosive plays, and even he impressed me with using his legs during the game too. So USC looked pretty good. They looked pretty good. Michigan State is much improved as well. I'm not sure how good they're going to be, but they're much improved from last year themselves. So I really like what I saw there from them. I want to talk about my horns to wrap this thing up here. Arch gets it going against Sam Houston. Yes, I'm aware we played Sam Houston. I don't care, though. I do not care, because we didn't see this team, this offense specifically, have the confidence that they did last night. We haven't seen that all year long. We have not seen that all year long. We finally saw that last night, and I love it. We were in rhythm. We were on time, on target with our throws. Arch was. We were ahead of schedule in the chains for the most part. We took care of them early, put them away. By the mid-third quarter, backups were in, taking over. That's what should have happened the first 2 games. But hey, I'm glad we got a game like this in before we head into conference play. 55-0. Arch specifically, it looks like he got his swagger back a little bit. Yes, like it was Sam Houston, and everyone's talking about the play where he runs into the end zone and talks shit to the Sam Houston defender that's on the ground. I love it. I don't care. I love it. Arch last year was a guy that had confidence, that had juice, that was dancing after throwing touchdowns against Mississippi State. And remember, he got into the end zone on the 16-wheeler package against Texas A&M, and he's hyped and he's talking shit. That's the type of player he is. That's the type of guy he is. Like, when he gets it going, you see it through his personality. And we didn't see that the first 3 weeks. We didn't see that against Ohio State. We didn't see that against San Jose State. We didn't see that against UTEP. It got bad. It got so bad to the point where CJ Baxter had to, walk up to him pregame. I forgot before which game, but CJ Baxter, a running back, had to walk up to him and hit him in the chest, like, "Hey, bro, bring the juice. Bring the juice. Be yourself. You're that guy." I love that for our team, by the way. But he didn't have that juice. He didn't have that confidence. It looked really bad last week against UTEP. And I'm glad he was able to find the confidence. And I feel like he needed to get a lot of frustration off his chest. I'm sure he's tuning out the media, but I'm sure he's seen some stuff from what people are saying about him on social media, and all these talking heads that built him up in the offseason, by the way, are now tearing him down. He got booed last week at home. Tore him down. He's hearing it from his own media about him not playing well. He knows it, but he's still going to hear it. He said, "Yeah, I had a lot of frustration get out. I had a lot of frustration to get out. I needed to, let that out. I needed to hype myself up back again." And we saw that, and I was extremely happy for him. But I love that gesture. But I have to see that same energy once we play well against Florida on the road. You can do that again. If we play well in Dallas against Oklahoma and you have a great game, or you're making plays on the field, yeah, you can do that again. And I feel like no one would have a problem with it. Keep that same energy though, Arch. Keep that same energy. I think that's the reason why a lot of people are like, "Bro, it's Sam Houston. Do it against Oklahoma and Red River and talk your shit." They're not gonna have anything to say. I just want him to keep that same energy up. I know he did it because he needed to get his confidence back and his juice back, but do it against more competition. Do it in the SEC against these good defenses, and then talk your shit. Oh, they're not gonna be able to tell you nothing. They're not gonna be able to tell you nothing. But he made the layups. He connected with Ryan Wingo twice for touchdowns. We didn't see that at all. Connected on deep post with Ryan Wingo. I was like, oh my gosh, is this a movie? Wingo, 6 targets, 4 catches for 93 yards and 2 touchdowns. 4 for 6, I like it. Previous games, it was probably 1 for 7 or 2 for 7 as far as the completions to target ratio. It was bad. Now, the O-line drives me crazy still with the false starts and the holdings at the most inopportune times, and they like to get a push at the goal line, especially on first down, second down at the goal line. That stuff irks me. But we're going to have to find ways. So we're going to have to find ways to hide that, I think. I think a lot of this stuff with the O-line. The O-line hasn't been bad, but the penalties, like, hey, now we know from here on out, Brandon Baker's going to get a penalty. I think he's had one in every game. Brandon Baker's going to get a penalty. Someone else on the O-line is going to get a penalty. It's going to be really tough for us to run on third and short, fourth and short, third and goal, even first, second, and third goal. Damn. Now, I think we went to like read option. Arch got in the end zone. We had another play where Arch rolled out. I think that was when the one where he talked shit to the player. He rolled out and nothing was there, so he ran it in. And there was another play in there that I liked that we kind of got on the perimeter because Sark kind of knows that this interior short yardage stuff, it's not it for us right now. It's not. So I really like what I saw from us. Now we have to take this momentum into the bye week, get better, and get ready to go to Gainesville, because for as bad as Florida looked, they will be hyped to play Texas in Gainesville. That crowd's still going to be rocking. They're going to be rocking because Texas is coming into town. It doesn't matter that they're 1-3 and it seems like the sky is falling in Gainesville. They're going to be out there. It's going to be a sellout. It's going to be rowdy. Florida's defense is elite. Their offense is shit, but their defense is elite. And they're probably going to play their best game against us. I just see it. So we're going to have to be well prepared to go into Gainesville in 2 weeks. Luckily, we have a bye week to kind of, get our feet under us a little bit and take what we put on the field against Sam Houston and apply that to practice and then apply that to the game and the rest of the season moving forward. If we can do that, I think we'll be in good hands. But that's going to wrap it up for this recap video of week 4. Please make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe like I mentioned down below. Let me know what y'all think about the season. Let me know this. Who are your biggest takeaways? Let me repeat that. What are your biggest takeaways from week 4 of the college football season? My biggest takeaway is that Texas Tech is a legit college football playoff contender. What is your biggest takeaway from week 4? Comment down below. This is Jimmy for CFB Enthusiasts. I'm out. Peace.